Hi, I'm John, the sand carver. What I do is put designs using a cut stencil on various items such as glass, stone, aluminum, stainless, and Pyrex. Yeah, I say Pyrex even though that is glass because it's kind of a different type. But my specialty basically is that I take barware, pints, pilsners, mugs, wine glasses, bottles, wine bottles, and of course Pyrex. And also, along with that, travel mugs and both stainless and aluminum, and of course stainless and aluminum drink bottles. Using a stencil that I cut myself, I attach it on, blast it with high pressure sand, and the design is 100% permanent. One of the things that I've noticed is that when I am doing multiples of the same item, for instance, multiples of pints or multiples of mugs, with all of the same design on it, because I do quite a bit actually for the local high schools and etc., is getting the item set, marked off and etc., so that when I place the stencil, it goes into the same relative position on the glassware, so that when you pick up 2 or 3 or 4 glasses or whatever and you got them out there, you don't want to have the designs all over the place. You want them kind of in the same relative position, height-wise, and position within left or right of the item so that it looks consistent. What it comes down to, though, is trying to mark items so that you know where in the world you're headed. Cylindrical items, glassware, mugs, pints, pilsners, bottles, etc., can be a real problem. But actually, all of the items that I do present a similar type of problem. How do you hold it? How do you get a consistent mark? So what I have done is I have come up with a jig that holds a magic marker. It allows me to change the vertical position of the marker, and from there then I can mark just about anything. So let's take a look at this jig and see what in the world we can do. The jig that I've come up with is a piece of, looks like 2x8 material. No, sorry, 2x6 material. A 1/4 inch wooden dowel and 2 pieces of 1x material that have been cut and glued together. Now the pieces are identical. The biggest difference comes in how they are cross-drilled and mounted. In this particular case, what I have is one piece that is drilled to take a magic marker. That ends up being about a 1/2 inch hole on that particular side. On the other side, I've drilled it for a pencil, which I think here is a 5/16 hole. And I have then cut, using a saw, a kerf. What that allows is for a magic marker to go in, and it'll spread. If I wish to use a pencil, it goes in and it is snug, but with the kerf, it will spread just a little bit. Yeah, let me get that out. On the other side, I have a 1/4 inch hole which is drilled to fit on the dowel. But I have also drilled cross through, and this is a number 8 bolt. What I have used is an eye bolt, threaded eye bolt, and a couple of number 8 nuts, a washer on that side, and on this side I have actually hogged out the hole a little bit and have embedded the number 8 nut so that it stays in there. What this allows me to do then is that I can squeeze this kerf cut just like on the original one with the magic marker and pencil holes. I can squeeze that kerf cut closed, which allows it to clamp down on the 1/4 inch rod. Now I have a long rod, and quite frankly I don't use but about probably 9, maybe 10 inches of that 1/4 inch. So don't worry about how long specifically it has to be, as long as it is tall enough for you to be able to mark the items that you use. Let me give you a quick example here. In this particular case, let's say that I want to be able to mark a line 3.5 inches up on a bunch of mugs. I can set my height right about here. Of course, anytime that you want to do it on camera, nothing wants to cooperate, but about 3.5 inches high. I can then take and strike a line around the mug. And every mug that I do using that height will give me a position line the same every time. That means that I don't have to try and hold this thing while I mark off a spot. I don't have to try and figure out how to get a reasonably horizontal line or concentric even line going on it. Using the jig, I can position this almost anywhere. One of the things that I have found is that when I'm doing Pyrex, I can get it down to the point where I can mark down low on the Pyrex pan. Let me give you an example. This is a Pyrex pan. It's a 7x9, I believe. Let's see, doesn't make much difference. In this particular case, I think you can see here where I've put a moose on the bottom of the pan. Now I do these for customers. What design would you like? If they want to put a name on the side or a name on the end, that's fine. But whatever in the world, whatever I do, I have found that I need a consistent line on the sides for placing the name. So with my jig, I'm able to come in here and draw a consistent line, whether it be on the side, whether it be on the end. No matter what I'm doing, I'm able to put a consistent line. It makes no difference if I do it on the top like that, if I want to do it higher. It makes no real difference where in the world, however I go that I want to mark it. Whether you want to do it from the bottom or whether you want to do it from the top is your prerogative. The whole idea behind this jig is to be able to put marking lines on whatever you're working on. Now I do it on glass and aluminum, stainless, Pyrex, and etc. Depending on the type of work that you're doing, you may end up putting it on wood or something else. The whole idea behind the jig is simply to be able to set a distance and use that distance repeatedly with accuracy. So there you have it. An easy jig to build, very little requirements, a piece of 1/4 inch dowel or whatever size that you choose to use, a base that is strong enough, large enough, sturdy enough to simply provide you with a sturdy working base, and 2 pieces of 1x, which is your normal, for instance, pine board dimension is called a 1x. It actually figures out to 3/4 of an inch, but don't worry about it. 2 tools that you need: a drill with a 1/4 inch drill bit and a 1/2 inch drill bit if you're going to use a magic marker, or maybe a 5/16 if you're going to use a pencil, and a smaller drill for a number 8. In this case, I remember I used an eye bolt on it. The eye gave me a big enough area that I could use to unlock and relock it, or tighten it, unlock, untighten it, and some number 8 nuts and a small washer. The only reason for the number 8 lot nuts is that it gives you can put 2 of them and tighten them together, which forms just a solid piece, but it's known as a jam nut. And that way then I have a bearing surface for that eye bolt. As I screw it in, it goes through that fixed nut, and this jam nut then will pull on the wood, or push rather on the wood, and squeeze that kerf together. The kerf can be cut with a regular hand saw, a jigsaw, a table saw. Yeah, be very careful if you're going to try and doing it with a skill saw. That's a dangerous one. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you found something useful in this video. If you did, give me a like down there. If you've got questions, post a comment over there and I'll try and get back to you. Other than that, this is John the Sand Carver saying, stay carving.